Hey guys, Captain Foley here. Welcome back to Trekyards.
And God, don't forget about me. I'm here too.
He is here. And today we're talking about episode 8.
It's almost the end of the road, Stuart. It's almost there.
It is. And, I mean, this episode was called Veritas, and honestly, I can say it was a pretty good episode. If not my favorite so far. Ha! Not that I say that every time, but...
You don't. No, you don't. You are fair. You don't. But is it fair to say this is the first Lower Decks clip show of new clips
based on episodes that never existed?
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I've pitched that to you so many times in our discussions. That as a concept, it is, but it isn't. It's new, but it isn't. And Stuart, we were right. It wasn't out of time.
Yes, you were right. You called it all flashbacks and. Yeah, there was a few things we were right about on this one, so yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, we couldn't obviously predict Gorn wedding. There's stuff obviously there's no reason you could predict. So you liked it. Do you actually mean your favourite yet, or are you just kind of saying that because you're so excited after watching it?
No, I think it is actually my favorite. I love the little jaunts here and there of the different stories, and of course seeing a TOS classic.
Sorry. Now I see why it's your favourite. It all makes sense now.
It's one of the reasons. I mean, New Star Trek loves their Romulan bird of prey. I mean, we got one in Picard, we got one here now, and this one's true to form for TOS ones. So, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this one and we got to revisit the Gorn, which is awesome. So,
no, for me, I watched it late last night, but it reinvigorated us as an experience. It's one of those ones that. It's very light on meat because it's a lot of sides, which means you enjoy a massive variety of very quick things. But the story itself is a one sentence summary. They're on trial. No, they're not. It's a party. They fail. They leave. That's the story. There's nothing else there. But if the individual bits work, you're left thinking oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. And for the most part, I think they work. It kind of wish it was a 35-minute episode, not necessarily a two-parter, but things that we want.
Keep in mind, they only rented the room for 22 minutes.
That was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
no, it was definitely an enjoyable episode. But I can see those that diss the show in general because it's basically just reference the episode, with no meat in terms of story and just everything's a reference. But if you're a Star Trek fan who likes or respects they show and appreciates clever, simple writing, as in simple little bits, it's fun. It's really fun,
Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, this one made Boimler look on point. He gave that speech at the end. He was very much kind of the guy that stood up for everybody at the end. Not much of a storyline for him. And Mariner, again, she was put on the opposite end of the spectrum. And people have been complaining that Mariner always is the one saving the day. Boimler always looks like an idiot. This one kind of changed it around because Mariner was not saving the day. She didn't know how to get out of the dungeon cell. She, her story, the mistake she made firing on the other ship, that was all her story. I mean, it wasn't focused on her, which I really appreciated. They explored Tendi and Rutherford more, which I really liked.
I mean, yeah, it was an ensemble piece, which actually shows it's kind of one of its strengths. That said, the Rutherford story really wasn't a Rutherford story. It was a Rutherford hangover story. It's what did I do? Let's look back. Because he didn't...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's a narrative conceit rather than really a story. But Tendi got a good bit... The three of them did get, and you're right, it's definitely not Mariner for first and foremost. But then the Rutherford stuff is the most memorable because of the incredibly and actually I was about incredibly memorable journey. But we do have a full circle story. It all does link together. There's no throwaway stuff, and you only sort of get that at the end. So even the weirdness of it being disjointed, it all actually comes together at the end. And
we called it that it was a museum. I love that. We got a Type F shuttlecraft from TOS, which is
just
awesome.
Carefully hidden from the trailer views, and there's the same shot. So I don't know if they just didn't include it for some reason.
And a warp sled, a Vulcan warp sled, which is very cool.
And that was unexpected, because that is you've really got to think about it to put that in. And we did see the internals of that, which we've never seen before, which worked. Bird of Prey was beautiful. Did have a bridge. It was very much a TNG layout, which is good,
Yes.
but also more colourful than you expect.
Yeah, it had a good mash of the TOS kind
Yeah.
of periscopy small bridge, the colors,
Yes,
and then
exactly.
the modern, more the Deradex kind of bridge. But again, in the other pinker purple colors.
But
So,
obviously, they've also got the Get Out of Jail Free, whereby it's a museum, but that could be a late TMP, early TNG, and then given as a museum. So a lot of leeway there. But I was surprised because I didn't think they were going to see the interior. B, I thought they were going to ruin it. No offense to them, but I thought they were going to do something really weird. So I was kind of like, oh, they went just TNG kind of augment. I was like, that's good. Yeah, I like that. I mean, obviously, I think we'll both agree though that the meat and potatoes we were hoping for, the museum, was a fleeting moment.
we saw most of it in the trailer. Let's be honest.
Which is disappointing. Luckily, his story is so fun, and I'd rather have it than not have it. But I mean, where do you fall on that? Because I know with our the TOS freighter, we both like, well, where do you fall on this one?
Well, I was hoping for more of the museum, obviously, to see more ships and stuff, like kind of a pan through as they're walking with other stuff in the background. But considering that it was mainly all in the trailer, except for that Type F shuttlecraft and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the bird of prey, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I was happy with it because the rest of the story was just so good. And there was some really great shots of the bird of prey in that episode, by the way.
He got
There's
some
one that's
loving.
definitely wallpaper. There's one that's wallpaper worthy, and then just a crossover with all their stories, kind of, in an unexpected twist at the end.
It wasn't just. I mean, obviously, this is an obvious thing to say, but it wasn't surreal to actually see TOS represented properly. Like, and I mean, a freighter is kind of like, okay, a freighter, sure, but the shuttle and the bird of prey. I mean, these are like just there.
And the animated series reference with the whole Kirk didn't expect the giant Spock on, I forget the planet.
Yes, I was confused by that.
That's from the Infinite Vulcan. It's the episode of the animated series where there's a giant Spock. It was written by Walter Koenig, actually.
Ah, that one.
Yeah, because he wasn't in the show, they let him write and I think direct one, and that's the one he was. So referring to the Infinite Vulcan was awesome. So again, the animated series episode. I think there's probably one thing from the animated series in almost every episode. We'd have to go take a look again, but I love that they're doing that. That's also a nice tribute.
Oh, there's definitely lots of other throwaway things. I know we both thought the same thing when they say Donor Vanar, whatever his name is, Rosha Vanar. The TNG guy that is the captive guy, and it's always Khan Cooler. And I knew you'd be thinking like, ugh, Samuel likes that guy.
Yeah, Rogar Danar. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I was thinking, she's gonna think, I like that guy. Why do I like that guy? Because we just watched the episode, and I think he's so I was like,
I love how Boimler comments on his hairstyle, and Boimler's hairstyle is kind of similar. Yeah, I had to look the name up. It sounded familiar. I'm like, what the hell? And I looked it up, and then Sylvia caught it right away though. Sylvia is really good with that, so she's like, maybe he should put a little tattoo here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sequence was one of the less good. I mean, it was sort of forced. Like, who's the better villain? It's like it's super out of universe, but the fact they used that guy is such a small guy made it more interesting. Like, if it was just, is it Khan or is it Krug or is it Borg? It's like, that's a lot of very high-end references,
Yes. No, I appreciated that, actually. And you got to admit, in that episode, you pointed out to me that it's such a great episode for the way he escapes from the ship and the things that he does, that I brushed it off, but you really liked that episode. And so after hearing that reference and who's the better, honestly, he's probably better than Khan, in that regard. So
I mean, Khan can kidnap a guy that walks into his front door. He can use that guy to beam aboard and take a ship of guys that aren't ready and aren't used to violence, and then he can die in space. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, and have a whole World War III eugenics war thing, but that's another story.
Oh yeah. But what is a story, and this surprised me, both positively and negatively, Q. We know Q would appear.
Yes.
I assumed he was going to be a throwaway pre-credit. He was in it not once but twice. And talk to me about this, because that is we've had legacy people, but not legacy characters yet. And there's 2 in this episode that I'll fill that. But Q was the first actual coming back. What did you think? Because theoretically, everyone's Q. Was he good?
Yes. I enjoyed it. I'm glad there was more than just the one line kind of throwaway thing that we were thinking it would be. It was a little bit more in depth than that. Plus, they kind of knocked New Trek at the same time with, Picard, he's always quoting Shakespeare and making wine. even though at this point he's not making wine. Somebody pointed that out on my first reaction review, and I'm like, but that's Q. He's non-linear. He's seen the future.
Yeah, but the writers are linear, so
that's fine. I thought that was great, actually. The fact that he's in his judge attire the whole time bugged me a little bit. I wish he would have shown up in like a Starfleet uniform or a Lower Decks uniform. Would have been great, but
I mean, you honestly just want a full Q episode. That said, now I liked it, and the second appearance made it worthwhile. If it was just the first one, I'd think really you paid John Delancey X for that. Okay, come on. Second was better, but I can understand the potential negativity here and how he's used, because now I've got a soul for it as well. So just hear me out, and then I'll I'm doing devil's advocate here, but the way it's played is that he is also challenging the Cerritos crew to prove humanity, which then if he does that for more one crew, he devalues all of TNG because he does this for many people. I mean, he's almighty, he can be in every place at once. So it means that TNG is just another crew. There's nothing special about Picard. And then at the end, to double down on that, Mariner then shuts him down. So Mariner is better than Q. And not so. Therefore, instantly, those that think Mariner is a Mary Sue, whatever, she beats Q. Obviously, so does Sisko, but he also does win against Sisko a few times. Anyway,
plus he's half god or a prophet.
Yeah, well, there you go. If non-linear,
he's like a demigod, like Hercules. So
beautiful.
There you go.
I love that. So you know what I mean? Like Q is TNG is devalued by this because Q does that for everybody. But, and you jump in a second, the counter to that is if he doesn't live non-linearly, is that this is post all of TNG, where Picard is like, he's bored with Picard, he's trying on with other people to see who else, who else can, and no one is quite as good to toy with and play with as Picard. A lot to throw at you there, but what do you think? Can you see both sides? Where are you on the line for? What do you think?
I like the idea that he's actually post-Picard at this point, and Picard's kind of turned into a bore. He's probably visited him in the future, and oh my god, this guy, I'm gonna go try out some other stuff. I like that idea. That's really great. I'd never really considered the whole Mariner shut him down thing. I just thought it was hilarious. Q, we're done. We don't want to put up with your Q bullshit today. I thought it was an awesome line, considering what they've been through.
But again, if it's post TNG, especially post All Good Things, where Picard won. He won the multi-dimensional universe saving. He could have won the trial. Well, who's next? These guys? Okay.
Well, now the humans have kind of proven themselves, or at least through one of them, and he's like, these guys are kind of fun to toy with. Let's try the whole save humanity game on a bunch of different ships. What's the least important ship I could go to?
See, that
the opposite of the Enterprise.
I could have seen that. I wish they'd said that. I would have made that much better scene. Just like, I went from number 1 to number 10,404. Although I didn't mind the prove yourself in this game.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty, I thought that was pretty good.
One thing with John Delancey, his voice didn't come across as cute to me very much. There's like 1 or 2 lines, but other than that, he had a different cadence. And I know he does voice acting for like other cartoon franchises or whatever. So it's just a totally different feel. It didn't feel like Q to me, which bugged me a little bit.
Would you say John Delancey sounded like John Delancey rather than like Q? That'd be my distinction. I
wouldn't say he's John Delancey at all. That's the thing. He's over exaggerating for the mic, and it didn't work for me. Like I heard Q once or twice. Speaking of the guy that has them on trial, or the guy they rescued, that is Red Foreman. Kurtwood Smith. That's his name. The Federation president from number 6, and the guy from Year of Hell.
Anoraks,
Yeah, I recognized the voice.
Yep, couldn't place it until the credits.
I couldn't place it, and I didn't look at the credits because I had other things to do. But then when I was watching it with Sylvia, she's like, that voice is familiar, and she looked it up, and I'm like, oh my god. And then once I knew it, there's certain lines that sound exactly like Red Foreman, which are great. So
yeah, he was great. It's weird. I was trying to work it out. I thought, is it JG put on a weird voice? It kind of has a JG vibe sometimes.
That's what I thought at first too. Yeah.
Although I'm wondering again if the technicality of Mike Mann saying we're going to bring legacies back, if this counts as his list, because he was in Star Trek twice as 2 important roles, but he wasn't playing either of them, and he wasn't made a big thing of. So if that's our 4, then that's like, oh wow, you did that. You know what I mean? Like we want to see Martok back, and and yet we're getting great for the actors, but you know what I mean? It's disappointing to keep hearing people we know in totally different things. If they're in both, that's fine. So I'm guessing we'll maybe see one more by the end because it's a two-parter epic finale. But I think that's our lot. It's like, oh, okay.
I can see them kind of pulling a red herring in that regard. Like, yes, we got some legacy people back, and look, their voices, and the last two episodes have like one or two actual characters come in.
Oh, like end with Kirk all of a sudden. It's like, what? Wow, we got shot. Oh, wow.
Yeah, something ridiculous like that. I could see them doing that, but again, we'd have to wait till the end of the season, and then we can have a more important discussion about that. But I can see it also being like, yeah, we got these legacy actors back, so not thinking that we've actually got people that worked on the show before, and just the way it comes across is like the characters are coming back, when that's just people's anticipation and expectation. So
yeah,
because it's not really on them. They're not trying to fool us. Because
if they'd said at the start, we are going to bring back guys who worked on track to play new characters, like we're going to have fun with it. Say that up front. Like we're not going to be the reference will be who we picked, not who they're playing. Then I'd be like, oh, cool. We can see, Walter Koenig as a Klingon. That opens up a whole door. Whereas Legacies, you think, oh, we're going to, So, pros and cons there, pros and cons. But, pro or con, Stuart, the Tendi storyline, why the black bar? What did you think? Because that was a distinct payoff.
That was great. And the redacted nature of her story, even though nothing was really redacted, like the Rom Beep Yulins, or the Rom Beep Yulin Council, was awesome. Or the Romulan Beep Neutral Zone, or whatever it was. It wasn't really cut out at all, which is funny. But I as soon as I heard her going into her story, I'm like, oh, that's why there's the black bars. She's not giving all the details. Okay. And so it makes a lot more sense now. So I thought that was a fun way to do it. And even the guy at the beginning is like, wait, whoa, you can't omit things like that.
Oh,
well, I just already kind of did. So
yeah. No, it was real clever. And I know we talked about this, if it's in universe or out universe. And it was both. They found a whole new way of doing it. And even the her payoff of I'm punching people. And the guy's like, no, you didn't do that. She's like, well, I did. You can still buy it. Maybe she didn't, because she's recounting a weird story. It's a hell of a balance there.
You're right. I didn't.
Yeah, that's fun.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was very creative.
Yes.
Really creative.
Although it kind of makes the senior officers look like bad people for not informing the crew or yelling down, "It's okay. This is not a trial." Well, I know they're respecting customs and all that, but still.
See, that's the thing where I agree, but obviously that's the point. But it's more that we have never seen this version of this experience. So what would it be like if these people actually had to, most crew don't know what's happening. Why would botanist number 7 in the Enterprise D know the Romulans are at the neutral zone and we're going to go fight at, Darmok and Tanagra? It's like, why?
Well, that's a good example. Why these 4? Why the 4 that we follow all the time and not another person? Like botanist number 7. I like that. Why not somebody else from the ship? Why just these 4?
Well, no, that makes sense, though, because each one was instrumental in the Romulan.
Yeah,
that was actually very, very, very specific. Although Les Boimler, he was also just there.
And also Les Mariner, because she was just on the bridge at the same time with the bugs.
It would have made more sense if her firing first led to something. Although we also got the bug alien, so they basically use most of the trailer stuff. I think there's basically nothing left. Yeah, I would probably say there's nothing left in the trailer to look for. As in, not this season on, like the original trailer. I think there's probably nothing left now. It's just the
which is good, because the last 2 episodes are supposed to be something fantastic. Hopefully they tie in together. The next time on looked interesting. There's a few fun things to talk about there, which I'm looking forward to our prediction video on Wednesday.
And I kind of hope that they extend them to like 2/28s, because they have other for Discovery, and like they have, if they need it, end on a 50-minute bang. But it was, like I said, it was very light on story, it was very light on plot, very heavy on story. And obviously everyone was there for the ride, but it does give you a really good insight as to what the people that aren't up top do. And obviously, right at the end, I did like the payoff where where they're saying, so you should be more transparent. Yeah, transparent crew. And they'll have very easy questions, and within about 14 seconds, the captain goes back to her old ways of, nope, it's all classified. You can't, nope, nothing. It's like, yeah, that's what happened.
And there's Captain Clarity, everybody.
Yep. Because, there's some good questions. Why would you steal a bird of prey? Why from a Vulcan? Why would you think that bird of prey would get through the Romulan zone? Why not a Klingon bird of prey?
Why not just ask them for it? What did he do to get captured by the Romulans?
And why is he that important to bring back? And why the Cerritos and any other ship? Like, they're really good questions. But as I've said all the times in the show, they hang a lantern. Those are stupid questions because the Cerritos wouldn't be there. But it does tell us the Captain prizes more training than her rank, this ship is. Not that they're necessarily the best. Although, my God, when then she went to Romulus, I was like, oh, they are not. Ooh, full on Romulus. That's ballsy. Because especially since they just, doing negotiating, the Titan is currently negotiating with the Romulans, and this other ship illegally, breaks ceasefires and goes onto Romulus and steals them. That is like, that was a bad time to do that. I was surprised they got away with that.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
In an antique bird of prey, yeah. Yeah, there's more to this story that I need to know now because, oh my God, I loved Rutherford's whole thing though of, tell me the events of 5.7.1. Oh, you're not gonna like that because I got told to updating Klingon fonts. Why would I even need that? Like, that was just fantastic.
It was definitely a wonderfully cartoon stupid thing, but it was used, and like when he stood on the bird of prey's cloak, they just basically was an excuse to do fun visuals. That was it. Although I didn't like the fan dance. I think that's a stupidly forced reference. It makes no sense in the universe at all. Like, it would be on one mission report one time that it worked once. That was stupid to me.
Well, at least it wasn't reference Uhura's dance or the dance from Nimbus 3 or something. It was just the fan dance.
No, because they said do it properly. So there is a fan dance.
I want the original fan
now,
dance.
I guess obviously Uhura will be doing a Starfleet issue fan dance. Well, I did like the twist that he did a shitty non-dance because he's like which is it's fun, yeah. Or how do they even get out of the museum? Do they just like fly up and?
We don't know. And see, that Rutherford wants to know too.
Yeah.
He asked the question, how'd you steal the Romulan? I'd like to know that too. Because he was missing out on all the good stuff.
And why did that Romulan ship just have a fully equipped warp core and cloaking device in a museum?
Somebody mentioned that on my live, and there's a good point that they made. Maybe it's a traveling exhibit, goes from museum to museum. So the Vulcan Museum to the Earth Starfleet Museum to whatever, it travels, to different locations. Instead of getting towed or tugged, it just gets...
Oh, it travels.
Flies.
But why the cloaking device then?
Because why not?
Because they needed it.
It's a fully intact original Romulan bird of prey. It's like the only one in existence still. Ta-da! It's still got its cloaking device.
Well,
Which you'd think that the newer Derdexes would be able to detect, considering they kept scanning for them. Oh, no, it's fine now. Oh, they're scanning again.
That was so stupid I laughed. Something about
I laughed
that,
a lot during this episode. A lot more than most of these episodes. So.
Well, it's because it was so bitty that they could obviously have lots of little jokes. Like in last week was so intent on its own story, it wasn't funny at all. Basically, it wasn't at all. This week was like, oh, so many little jokes. So yeah, a lot to process. And I think as a Star Trek fan, you walk away. And my last point, like I basically at the start, having a Gorn wedding. Who would think of that? But it actually says so much. It says Gorn look like Gorn. We're not going to retcon them. We're not going to reboot them. They look like Gorn. Go F yourself if you're changing them, Mr. Anyone in the Discovery whatever camp. And they are civilized. Because, yes, they went a bit feral, fine. But they are civilized. That's good.
And Jill made a point last night that they're mammals because they have mammaries. Like the females had the... mammaries.
Yeah, we've never seen a female Gorn. That's true. Yeah, I didn't think
exactly.
that. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So, there you go. They're not cold-blooded necessarily and lay eggs. Anyway, what a way to end. This was a fun episode. I'm looking forward to our live review tonight at 5 Eastern Standard Time.
Normal time, guys.
If you guys can join, please do. That's what we'll rate it with on a scale, which really needs to be revamped at the end of the season. We need to go back and redo these. But anyway.
Well, one of us does.
Well... Anyway, so tune in for that, guys, if you can. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel for that. Hit the notification bell icon to all, and hit like on this video. Also, comment down below what you thought of this episode. I know 1 or 2 people didn't like it, and I'd just like to know why. There's lots of good stuff in here, even if you didn't like the whole thing. There's got to be a piece or 2 that you like. Comment down below and have a discussion.
Yeah, and support us on Patreon if you can. We do this show for free, as in to enjoy it for free, but we do need direct support to allow us to do this, other shows, and 23 weeks of Star Trek, making videos every week, all week. It's a lot of time and effort, and we have other lives sort of around that. So if you can, Patreon's a great way. One-time donation at trekyards@hotmail.com. That is the PayPal account number. Or name, go into our lives, as you said, and then super chat. That is a great way because you get to be part of the conversation, talk to us, say hi, or just say have some money, or I hate you, or we love you, or make us say something of your choice. Yeah, it's varied. And then join the channel based on those lives, because then we know who you are. You get there's bonuses, guys, and again, really, really helps us. If you can, please do. If you can't, just keep watching, subscribing, saying hi. And so until next time, he is Captain Foley,
and he's Commander Cockings.
He is. Bye, guys.
That's right. Bye, guys.